We are on, in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, M at Dakshineshwar Part 2. Oh, is it hot, Sunanda?
Yes.
It is here too. It's gotten up to 88 now.
Oh no.
And it's muggy. So everyone try and stay cool. I hope, Davy Pun, I hope you have your AC on.
Yes, I do.
Good. Okay. All right, well, we're on page 374 of the Gospel. Wednesday, January 2nd, 1884. Rakal, Latu, Harish, Ramlal, and M had been staying with Sri Ramakrishna at the temple garden. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, M found the master on the west porch of his room, engaged in conversation with a tantric devotee. The tantric was wearing an ochre cloth. Sri Ramakrishna asked M to sit by his side. Perhaps the master intended to instruct him through his talk with the tantric devotee. Mahima Chakravarti had sent the latter to the master. Master to the tantric. It is a part of the tantric discipline to drink wine from a human skull. This wine is called karana. Is that not so? Tantric, yes, sir. Master, but I cannot touch wine at all. Tantric, you have spontaneous divine bliss. One who enjoys that bliss wants nothing else. Master, I don't care for japa and austerity, but I have constant remembrance and consciousness of God. Tell me, when they speak of the 6 centers, what do they mean? Tantric, these are like different holy places. In each of the centers dwells Shiva and Shakti. One cannot see them with the physical eyes. One cannot take them out by cutting open the body. M listened silently to the conversation. Looking at him, the master asked the tantric devotee, can a man attain perfection without the help of a bija mantra, a sacred word from the guru? Tantric, yes, he can if he has faith in the words of his guru. The master turned to M and said, drawing his attention, faith. After the tantric devotee had taken his leave, Jai Gopal Sen, a member of the Brahmo Samaj, arrived. The master talked with him. Master to Jai Gopal. One should not harbor malice towards any person or any opinion. The believers in the formless God and the worshippers of God with form are all, without exception, going toward God alone. The jnani, the yogi, the bhakta, all, without exception, are seeking him alone. The follower of the path of knowledge calls him Brahman. The yogi calls him Atman or Para-Atman. The bhakta calls him Bhagavan. Further, it is said that there is the eternal Lord and his eternal servant. Jai Gopal, how can we know that all paths are true? Master, a man can reach God if he follows one path rightly. Then he can learn about all the other paths. It is like reaching the roof by some means or another. Then one is able to climb down by the wooden or stone stairs, by a bamboo pole, or even by a rope. A devotee can know everything when God's grace descends on him. If you but realize him, you will be able to know all about him. You should somehow meet the master of a house and become acquainted with him. Then he himself will tell you how many houses he owns and all about his gardens and government securities. Jai Gopal, how does one receive the grace of God? Master, constantly you have to chant the name and glories of God and give up worldly thoughts as much as you can. With the greatest effort, you may try to bring water into your field for your crops, but it may all leak out through holes in the ridges. Then all your efforts to bring the water by digging a canal will be futile. You will feel restless for God when your heart becomes pure and your mind free from attachment to the things of the world. Then alone will your prayers reach God. A telegraph wire cannot carry messages if it has a break or some other defect. I used to cry for God all alone with a longing heart. I used to weep, "O God, where art thou?" Weeping thus, I would lose all consciousness of the world. My mind would merge in the Mahavayu. How can one attain yoga? By completely renouncing attachment to worldly things. The mind must be pure and without blemish, like the telegraph wire that has no defect. One must not cherish any desire whatever. The devotion of a man who has any desire is selfish, but desireless devotion is love for its own sake. You may love me or not, but I love you. This is love for its own sake. The thing is that one must love God. Through intense love, one attains the vision of him. The attraction of the husband for the chaste wife, the attraction of the child for its mother, the attraction of worldly possessions for the worldly man. When a man can blend these three into one and direct it all to God, then he gets the vision of God. Jayagopal was a man of the world. Was this why the master gave instructions suited to him? At 8 o'clock that evening, the master was sitting in his room with Rakhal and M. It was the 21st day of May, of M's stay with Sri Ramakrishna. The master had forbidden him to indulge in reasoning. Master to Rakhal, it is not good to reason too much. First comes God, and then the world. Realize God first, then you will know all about his world. To M and Rakhal, if first one is introduced to Jadu Malik, then one can know everything about him, the number of his houses, gardens, government securities, and so on. For this reason, the Rishi Narada advised Valmiki to repeat the word Mara. Ma means God, and Ra the world. Mara is a holy mantra because it was given to Valmiki by the Rishi. Ma means God, and Ra the world. Okay, there is a footnote which I will read. The author of the Ramayana, Valmiki, the author of the Ramayana, it is said that this sage had lived the life of a highwayman. Coming in contact with Narada, he became eager to lead a spiritual life. Narada asked him to chant the holy name of Rama as a spiritual discipline. But on account of the sinful tendency of his mind, Valmiki could not utter the holy word. He was then advised to repeat the word Mara, the reverse of Rama. Through yearning and earnestness, the heart of the robber became purified, and it was then possible for him to chant Rama's name. As a result, he attained perfection. Therefore, like Valmiki, one should at first renounce everything and cry to God in solitude with a longing heart. The first thing necessary is the vision of God. Then comes reasoning about the scriptures and the world. To M, that is why I've been telling you not to reason anymore. I came from the pine grove to say that to you. Through too much reasoning, your spiritual life will be injured. You will at last become like Hazra. I used to roam at night in the streets all alone and cry to the Divine Mother, "O Mother, blight with thy thunderbolt my desire to reason. Tell me that you won't reason. Tell me that you won't reason anymore." Yes, sir, I won't reason anymore. Master, everything can be achieved through bhakti alone. Those who want the knowledge of Brahman will certainly achieve that also by following the trail of bhakti. Can a man blessed with the grace of God ever lack knowledge? At Kamarpur Court, I have seen grain dealers measuring paddy. As one heap is measured, another heap is pushed forward to be measured. The mother supplies the devotees with the heap of knowledge. After attaining God, one looks on a pundit as mere straw and dust. Padmalochan said to me, "What does it matter if I accompany you to a meeting at the house of a fisherman? With you I can dine even at the house of a pariah." The house of a fisherman, he's referring to Mathur Babu. Everything can be realized simply through love of God. If one is able to love God, one does not lack anything. Kartika and Ganesha were seated near Bhagavati, who had a necklace of gems around her neck. The Divine Mother said to them, "I will present this necklace to him who is the first to go around the universe." Thereupon Kartika, without losing a moment, set out on the peacock, his carrier. Ganesha, on the other hand, in a leisurely fashion, went around the Divine Mother and prostrated himself before her. He knew that she contained within herself the entire universe. The Divine Mother was pleased with him and put the necklace around his neck. After a long time, Kartika returned and found his brother seated there with the necklace on. Weeping, I prayed to the Mother, "O Mother, reveal to me what is contained in the Vedas and the Vedanta. Reveal to me what is in the Purana and the Tantra." One by one, she has revealed all these to me. Yes, she has taught me everything. Oh, how many things she has shown me. One day she showed me Shiva and Shakti everywhere. Everywhere I saw the communion of Shiva and Shakti. Shiva and Shakti existing in all living things. Man, animals, trees, plants. I saw them in the communion of all male and female elements. Another day I was shown heaps of human heads, mountain high. Nothing else existed, and I was seated alone in their midst. Still another day, she showed me an ocean, taking the form of a salt doll. I was going to measure its depth. While doing this, through the grace of the Guru, I was turned to stone. Then I saw a ship and at once got into it. The helmsman was the Guru. I hope you pray every day to Satchidananda, who is the Guru. Do you? M. Yes, sir. Master, the Guru was the helmsman in that boat. I saw that I and you were two different things. Again, I jumped into the ocean and was changed into a fish. I found myself swimming joyfully in the ocean of Satchidananda. These are all deep mysteries. What can you understand through your reasoning? You will realize everything when God himself teaches you. Then you will not lack any knowledge. Friday, January 4th, 1884. Boy, that was quite a little bit of time? No, just a couple days. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in his room. M was still staying with the Master, devoting his time to the practice of spiritual discipline. He had been spending a great part of each day in prayer and meditation under the bell tree, where the Master had performed great austerities and had seen many wonderful visions of God. Master to M, don't reason anymore. He's going to get this message through. Don't reason anymore. In the end, reasoning only injures the aspirant. One should assume a particular attitude toward God while praying to him. The attitude of friend or servant or son or hero. I assume the attitude of a child. To me, every woman is my mother. The divine Maya, seeing this attitude in an aspirant, moves away from his path out of sheer shame. The attitude of hero is extremely difficult. The Shaktas and the Bauls among the Vaishnavas follow it, but it is very hard to keep one's spiritual life pure in that attitude. One can assume other attitudes towards God as well. The attitude in which the devotee serenely contemplates God as the creator, the attitude of service to him, the attitude of friendship, the attitude of motherly affection, or the attitude of conjugal love. The conjugal relationship, the attitude of a woman to her husband or sweetheart, contains all the rest: serenity, service, friendship, and motherly affection. Which one of these appeals to your mind? M. I like them all. Master. When one attains perfection, one takes delight in all these relationships. In that state, a devotee has not the slightest trace of lust. The holy books of the Vaishnavas speak of Chandidas and the washerwoman. Their love was entirely free from lust. In that state, a devotee looks on himself as a woman. He does not regard himself as a man. Sanatana Goswami refused to see Mirabai because she was a woman. Mira informed him that in Vrindavan, the only man was Krishna, and that all others were his handmaids. Was it right of Sanatana to think of himself as a man? Mira inquired. At dusk, M was sitting at the master's feet. Sri Ramakrishna had been told that Keshav's illness had taken a turn for the worse. He was talking about Keshav and incidentally about the Brahmo Samaj. Master to M. Do they only give lectures in the Brahmo Samaj, or do they also meditate? I understand that they call their service in the temple Upasana. Keshav at one time thought a great deal of Christianity and the Christian views. At that time, and even before, he belonged to Devendranath Tagore's organization. M. Had Keshav Babu come here from the very beginning, he would not have been so preoccupied with social reform. He would not have been so busy with the abolition of the caste system, widow remarriage, intercaste marriage, women's education, and such social activities. Master, Keshav now believes in Kali as the embodiment of spirit and consciousness, the primal energy. Besides, he repeats the holy name of the Mother and chants her glories. Do you think the Brahmo Samaj will develop in the future into a sort of social reform organization? M. The soil of this country is different. Only what is true survives here. Master. Yes, that is so. The Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion declared by the rishis, will alone endure. But there will also remain some sects, like the Brahmo Samaj. Everything appears and disappears through the will of God. Earlier in the afternoon, several devotees from Calcutta had visited the Master and had sung many songs. One of the songs contained the following idea. O Mother, you have cajoled us with red toys. You will certainly come running to us when we throw them away and cry ourselves hoarse for you. Master to M. How well they sang the song about red toys. M. Yes, sir. You once told Keshav about the red toys. Master. Yes, I also told him about Chidakasa, the inner consciousness, and about many other things. Oh, how happy we were. We used to sing and dance together. Sunday, January 5th, 1884. It was the 23rd day of M's stay with Sri Ramakrishna. M had finished his midday meal about 1 o'clock and was resting in the Nahabat when suddenly he heard someone call his name 3 or 4 times. Coming out, he saw Sri Ramakrishna calling to him from the veranda north of his room. M saluted the Master, and they conversed on the south veranda. Master, I want to know how you meditate. When I meditated under the beltry, I used to see various visions clearly. One day I saw in front of me money, a shawl, a tray of sundash, and 2 women. I asked my mind, "Mind, do you want any of these?" I saw the sundash to be mere filth. One of the women had a big ring in her nose. I could see both their inside and outside, entrails, filth, bone, flesh, blood. The mind did not want any of these, money, shawl, sweets, or woman. It remained fixed at the lotus feet of God. A small balance has 2 needles, the upper and the lower. The mind is the lower needle. I was always afraid lest the mind should move away from the upper needle, God. Further, I would see a man always sitting by me with a trident in his hand. He threatened to strike me with it if the lower needle moved away from the upper needle. But no spiritual progress is possible without the renunciation of lust and greed. I renounced these 3, land, wife, and wealth. Once I went to the registry office to register some land, the title of which was in the name of Raghavir. The officer asked me to sign my name, but I didn't do it, because I couldn't feel that it was my land. I was shown much respect as the guru of Keshab Sin. They presented me with mangoes, but I couldn't carry them home. A sannyasi cannot lay things up. How can one expect to attain God without renunciation? Suppose one thing is placed upon another. How can you get the second without removing the first? One must pray to God without any selfish desire. But selfish worship, if practiced with perseverance, is gradually turned into selfless worship. Dhruva practiced tapasya to attain his kingdom, but at last he realized God. He said, "Why should a man give up gold if he gets it while searching for glass beads?" God can be realized when a man acquires sattva. Householders engaged in philanthropic work such as charity, mostly with a motive. That is not good. But actions without motives are good. Yet it is very difficult to leave motives out of one's actions. When you realize God, will you pray to him, "O God, please grant that I may dig reservoirs, build roads, and found hospitals and dispensaries"? After the realization of God, all such desires are left behind. Then mustn't one perform acts of compassion such as charity to the poor? I do not forbid it. If a man has money, he should give it to remove the sorrows and sufferings that come to his notice. In such an event, the wise man says, "Give the poor something." But inwardly he feels, "What can I do? God alone is the doer. I am nothing." The great souls, affected by the suffering of men, show them the way to God. Shankaracharya kept the ego of knowledge in order to teach mankind. The gift of knowledge and devotion is far superior to the gift of food. Therefore, Chaitanya Dev distributed bhakti to all, including the outcasts. Happiness and suffering are the inevitable characteristic of the body. You have come to eat mangoes. Fulfill that desire. The one thing needful is jnana and bhakti. God alone is. God alone is substance, all else is illusory. It is God alone who does everything. You may say that in that case man may commit sin, but that is not true. If a man is firmly convinced that God alone is the doer, and that he himself is nothing, then he will never make a false step. It is God alone who has planted in man's mind what the Englishman calls free will, and there's a footnote on that. Sri Ramakrishna used to use this word to denote Europeans in general, and also those whose ways and thoughts were largely influenced by Western ideas. The Englishman calls free will. People who have not realized God would become engaged more and more sinful actions if God had not planted in them the notion of free will. Sin would have increased if God had not made the sinner feel that he alone was responsible for his sin. Those who have realized God are aware that free will is a mere appearance. In reality, man is the machine and God is its operator. Man is the carriage and God its driver. And I think we'll stop there this evening. This goes on a bit more, but we're starting another conversation a little later in the day. Are there any questions about what we've read? Okay. Tomorrow's lecture, then, will be speech karma. Swami Vedarupananda will be giving it. And Wednesday, we will have the regular reading of Swami Premananda at 5 o'clock here in the temple. And next Saturday, the 16th, will be the Bhagavad Gita at 5 o'clock here in the temple with Swami Sarvadevananda. So, everyone tune in. And Swami Sarvadevananda's lecture the following Sunday will be Doing Our Duties. So, if there are no comments or questions, we'll close with a chant. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om Tat Sat, Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Good to see all of you, both the ones here in the temple and the ones on Zoom.